Things are starting to get a little tense out there now that everybody is officially on the same island. It's always interesting to see the different ways people branch out once the tribal lines disappear, and this merge episode is no different. Today we're going to be discussing the edit and making some predictions as per usual, but before we get started with that, please make sure you hit that subscribe button below if you have not already. I recap other reality shows on my channel from time to time too. Plus, I have some more content planned in the future that's a little bit different, a little bit of a mix between film and TV stuff, so please make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned. Now, let's get started. So let's kick things off with the Yellow Tribe, where we see that unfortunately Rachel is on the bottom after being left out of the last vote. We see that Sierra is at least trying to explain herself a little bit and trying to build that bond between Rachel again. We'll just have to see if these ladies end up talking it out, but right now it's just looking like Rachel is not in a good spot. But luckily for her, the merge is right around the corner. Now, before they all head off to the same island, we get this confessional of Sam talking about why he did not use his idol during the last tribal council. He's saying that he kept it because he didn't really feel the need to use it. Plus, it could be interesting to use it as a decoy or fake or something like that later on, which I'm really hoping this is true. I'm really hoping this is just some classic foreshadowing because I think that would be a lot of fun. I love it. I love when people do the thing where they go and they convince somebody that a fake idol is actually legit. It is just such a blast to me, at least. So for now, everyone is going to head off to the Blue Tuku Beach for the merge. And it looks like they're trying to do that whole earn the merge thing again, where they're technically merged, but they're not really, even though they are. I don't know why they still do this, because if you ask me, the fact that they are all out there on the same beach together, no more tribes, everybody is all in on the same vote, that looks like a merge to me. Bandana or not, I don't care. Anyway, we see that Sue is still over there trying to get that damn red paint off of that idol that she found days ago. And my girl is out there struggling, okay? She is using possibly the worst strategy she could use, which is using the water well in this little water bottle to wash all of this paint off instead of just going to the damn ocean. Like, seriously, was there any special reason why she couldn't just go into the ocean? I'm honestly confused, because that's what I would do. I would go to the part where everybody poops in. That way it's probably the most secluded spot out there, right? Anyway, with all the evidence left out there, it's really no surprise that eventually everybody ends up stumbling upon the scene of the crime. Caroline and Tiyana already know what's up because they caught Sue red-handed earlier, and I think this might be the thing that spells out some trouble for Sue later. Caroline is cool for now, but all it takes is for Tiyana to start running her mouth a little bit and Sue could easily find herself in some trouble. At least that's what I feel like they're setting us up for. So overall, I wouldn't really be surprised if Sue does end up getting into some trouble next week. But right now, it seems like Rome and his messy gameplay is still the topic of conversation. We see Rome and Kyle out there talking a little game and gossiping about the other people. And it's looking like maybe Kyle could possibly see Rome as an ally because eventually he starts to get a little gossipy. They're just talking about who's playing a good game and who's a threat to win and stuff like that. Now, this should be good news to Rome maybe, because he has turned his tribe totally off, and right now it looks like he could really use an ally out there. But instead, Rome goes and immediately snitches to everybody about Kyle and what he's been saying and throws him under the bus hard. Damn.
So what do I do with that information?
He was pretty much like in challenges, like Caroline is like super weak, and
That's not true.
and he was saying y'all two are like a super tight duo.
The more information that I have like that, the more I can warn the people that are the targets of someone that, hey, people are coming for you.
I think I would have probably tried to keep Kyle and his gossip in my back pocket for now, but hey, that's just me. Because we see as everybody goes to do their fact checking, Kyle is able to clear his name pretty smoothly here. Now, to be fair, we did see it. Kyle was getting a little bit gossipy out there, but the thing is, Kyle seems to have a much better reputation on his tribe than Rome ever did. So it looked like he was pretty easily able to just throw all of this back on Rome and make him look like the bad guy. Eventually, everyone goes off to compete in the first individual immunity challenge of the season, and this one is going to be played in 2 different parts. The first part is your standard obstacle course, but Genevieve, lucky girl, gets to skip right on over to round 2 since she was able to find the advantage on the island. Round 2 is this balance endurance comp, which is nothing special here. I mean, we've seen this competition played out before. And this all ends up coming down to Kyle versus Sue at the end. Go off, Sue. I see you. Now, what I did notice was that it looked like both of these two used a similar strategy of slightly tilting that semicircle thing that they had in their hand instead of holding it straight up. I'm not sure if that strategy was what ended up helping them out in this competition or what, but it just was something interesting that I noticed. As we see, Kyle is able to pull out the win and bring home the first individual immunity of the season. Go off. I thought this was pretty cute for him, especially since his name had been getting dragged so bad earlier. But on the other hand, this is terrible news for Rome. Later on, during the reward dinner, the players get this sexy little charcuterie spread, which I thought looked so freaking good. See, that's the type of food I'm talking about. That's how you do it on Survivor. Y'all can miss me with those shriveled hot dogs, okay? During this feast, they do end up talking about the vote, and it's looking like most people just straight up agree that Rome is the best option to go home. Andy's name is briefly brought up here too, but it was really as more of a backup plan. We do see a confessional of Sierra saying that she doesn't really like that Andy's name is being thrown out because it's not that good for her game. And later on, we hear Sam talking about how he's actually kind of okay with Andy's name being thrown out there as a possible backup. So that's just something interesting to note. Maybe we'll see something strange happening with this trio later on down the line. Now, the other thing that did stand out to me during this merge feast was just the personal content we got about Sam. They make a big deal about him trying his first pineapple ever in his life, which was a callback to the other personal content he got back in a previous episode. I always just pay attention to this random and seemingly pointless personal content that they like to show players, just because usually whenever they keep on showing stuff like this and doing callbacks and stuff like that, it's usually because that person is important. They did this a lot with Kenzie last season, and now they're starting to do the same thing with Sam. I don't want to say for sure that Sam is going to win or anything, but I do think he's very important to the story, and I think he'll be here for a while. Meanwhile, back at camp, since Kyle is now safe, Rome is now going to attempt to throw Saul under the bus once again. He's claiming bullying and doing all this fake crying and stuff like that. I mean, a true troll.
He tries to be encouraging and all this stuff, but he literally just makes me feel like such a little person. Like,
yeah,
and it
just
sucks.
like such a, yeah.
Because like I already have like self-esteem and like pride issues with like myself and like not being able to do things and like, you know, things like that. So when someone's like there not believing in me clearly, it sucks.
It doesn't help, yeah.
I don't want to deal with it anymore.
I know.
I might have shed a little crocodile tear here too.
Rome thinks that he has everyone wrapped around his finger, but it seems pretty clear to me at least that he's the odd one out here. So with all of this chaos and idols and amulets in play, everyone is now going to go off to tribal council. This tribal itself is pretty standard, except for when Rome boldly and correctly exclaims that the amulet advantage is actually a pretty shitty one to have in the game. Jeff looks a little offended by this at first, but eventually he decides to let Rome cook, and I'm glad he did because I gotta give Rome his 10s. He pretty much nails this one on the head.
We've got an amulet advantage out there right now. We know that 3 people have the amulet. They all went on a journey together. Usually when you go on journeys, when you come back, you tell your whole tribe what happened. So everyone knows who has the amulets right now, and everyone knows that the amulet by itself has no power. You have to use it together with the other 2 people.
I mean, really, I could not agree with Rome more. I said before that out of all of the idols that they've put in the game, I would want this one the least. Hell, I'd even take the one that Sue has over this amulet advantage. Now, the amulet does end up getting used on Teeny here, it just ends up being totally irrelevant because when we get to the votes, we see that Rome is swiftly voted out. And they had some pretty savage stuff to say about him too.
They say Rome wasn't built in a day, but your game sure was destroyed in one.
I think everybody has finally caught up to the way that I feel about you.
This vote has really been the most obvious one yet. I mean, it seemed pretty clear that most people were not rocking with Rome, and it seemed to be a pretty easy decision for everybody. Rome's social game was pretty abysmal from the jump. Sorry, can't lie there. But you know what? At least he was a fun villain. Like him or not, every single story needs a good antagonist, and you can't say that Rome gave us nothing, okay? So of course, I want to know, what did you think of this episode as a whole? And now that everybody is merged together, who are your winner picks? Who do you see winning this whole thing? Let me know in the comments below. I'm still not completely sure yet, but I do still want to say that either Sam or Sierra will be the one winning this whole thing. Sam has been edited to be the most obvious frontrunner so far, but that does kind of make me wonder if maybe it's a little bit too obvious, you know? And the same thing applies to Teeny, right? I mean, Teeny has gotten a 10 out of 10 edit so far, but for that reason, I have the feeling that she could be a red herring. Who knows? Of course, I'll be back here next week to recap with y'all as we continue to unravel this story. But until then, peace.